Florida immigration laws is creating panic among migrants and illegal migrants, right? Florida immigration laws is creating panic. I want to share this video with you guys, and then I'm going to get y'all up out of here for the day. But this is important because this is what I think is going to lead into election season. And we often at times talk about closing off our borders. Make sure you hit a like for the YouTube algorithm, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. Let's rock out.
Tonight, a new law is set to upend an entire way of life for many immigrants in Florida. One of them is Jesus, a farm worker for 18 years. He left Mexico searching for work and a better life. But
wait a minute. Wait. What is his name? Jesus? Or is it Jesus? Anton Daniels 413@gmail.com. That's my email. Is it Jesus? And is Jesus documented? Also, a part of this conversation that we need to have is the businesses that continue to use illegal, because y'all always talking about a livable wage and all of this other type of stuff. There are businesses that benefit from it, but more importantly, they're the ones that continue to drive up the cost of doing business, because if they're paying and employing illegal migrants or illegal immigrants in the country, how is that affecting our economy? All right, Jesus, let's rock out.
For 18 years, he left Mexico searching for work and a better life. But now, as one of Florida's estimated 775,000 undocumented immigrants, he faces an incredibly difficult decision: either leave or wait until the state forces him to.
You know what the funniest thing is? As you see him speaking Spanish right here, you know what the most interesting thing is as a person that travels back and forth to Southern Florida and Miami and Tampa almost every other week. Actually, I just came back last weekend, and I'll be back there this weekend. As a person that travels and has immersed myself recently over the last 3 to 4 years in the Southern Florida culture, this is not abnormal. It is not abnormal to regularly walk into people that have no clue of how to speak English. They've been here for 10 years, has no clue. 18, 10, 5, 7, no clue on how to speak English. We'll tell you. We'll literally tell you. They work, your servers, you walk into them. They will tell you, I don't speak English that well. That's all they know. I don't speak English that well. Yes, see? They will tell you, I don't speak English that well. And then they speak Spanish. So much so to where when you're down there for an extended period of time, you start to figure out, or you start to realize that, I might need to speak Spanish in order to really, really thrive down here. Honestly, if you want to, it's different than visiting. Visiting, you're going to go to Miami Beach. You're going to go to all of the, the visible parts. But to actually go down there and thrive, like to be a part of and immerse yourself in the culture, you probably need to speak, you need to speak Spanish. 775, almost more than 750,000 people living in Florida against the governor's wishes, undocumented. What's up, Q? Hey, y'all, make sure y'all tune in to Q's show tonight. We're going to be rocking out. We kicking it. 775,000 people in Florida completely undocumented.
Telling me he'll work as long as he can here until it's time to grab his stuff and go back to Mexico, adding he has no idea what is going to happen. He's in limbo because Florida Governor Ron Desantis signed a law as a way to crack down on employers that are hiring undocumented workers, requiring them to use an online database to verify legal status, banning local governments from issuing IDs to the undocumented, and requiring hospitals that accept Medicaid to ask patients about their immigration status.
I don't see that as unreasonable. I don't see that as unreasonable. It actually levels the playing field that allows for you guys to be able to make more money if you want to actually be able to compete in this economy, capitalistic, because rules are rules. So now they're requiring businesses to verify who it is that they're hiring by saying, local governments can't just issue documentation of people and IDs. If they go to the hospital in order to accept Medicaid, because anybody has just been walking in with fucking Medicaid, and then who have to pay for it? You do. Oh, not me. For those that's in the Patreon, you've seen my most recent post. For everybody that's in the Patreon, you've seen my most recent post. You know who paid for it? You do. The middle class. The middle class are the ones that's paying for the health care of the people that are undocumented and that snuck over here and is working over here illegally. You are the ones that pay for it. So now Governor Desantis, against the liberals' perspectives, is saying, listen, we want you to verify who it is that you got working for you. And if they're going to go over into the hospital and get Medicaid and be able to pay for their problems and their issues that they came over here with, then we want you to actually verify that they are legal to be here. They're not saying, listen, we don't like you. They're saying that we just going to do things by the book and we're going to do it legally. Ain't that what y'all want?
The move's creating panic.
What the law has created is an environment of fear where people believe, that they are at risk.
Studies show immigrants make up 35% of Florida's booming construction industry, but
35, more than a third. I was over in Wynwood this past weekend, and I seen so many buildings. I'm talking about it had to be at least 6 to 8 different buildings that was all going up at the same time. 1/3 of those buildings, allegedly based off of this, the booming construction industry are hiring people that are not legal over here to work. 1/3, that's allegedly, that's an estimation, which means that it could be much higher than that.
We don't know how many of those are undocumented, while an estimated 47% of the people working Florida fields are undocumented.
So that guy in the beginning of this live stream, the guy that had $150,000 in student loan debt, remember the guy that wanted kudos for having a job? He had $150,000 in student loan debt. He said, I go to work every day. Now you got a new job. You got a new opportunity. I want my peaches. I want my bananas. I want my what do you call that? That be on the toast. I want my raisins. I want my oranges, Florida oranges. I want all of it. I want it all. 47, more than 47, at least half of everybody that is getting your peaches is coming from the undocumented workers. All right?
The Florida Policy Institute estimating losing those workers could mean an economic loss of nearly $13 billion per year.
Figure it out.
A drop of 10% of the state's total workworkse.
Figure it out.
Fidencio is one of the many migrant workers here in the farming community of Homestead.
Nice mustache.
And he said,
look, if you look at everything in the back, all of it is in Spanish.
As the consequences of the law will be felt by everyone like him. He says DeSantis is going.
Look, we don't even know what he's saying. Everybody that they're interviewing on here, they don't speak English. They've been over here for 2 decades and they don't speak a lick of English. Yo, when I was over in the Dominican Republic, me, my wife, and my daughter over there for my daughter's competition or whatever. When we was over there in the Dominican Republic, the first thing I was thinking to myself, man, if I come over here, if I was to live over here, I would have to immediately start to learn Spanish. There's no way I'm going to be in a place where I'm going to be at a disadvantage. I need to learn Spanish.
To be breaking up families.
DK said they look like the Mario Brothers. Shout out to Miles Bankhead. Miles. Oh.
And it's up to God what happens next. It's something even Florida's business leaders are worried about. The people in charge of massive infrastructure projects.
That's what all of the buildings around there is looking like. They just building and building and building and building and building and building. And they got more buildings going up than the loss of the lot.
It's like Daniel Kotze, whose company is tasked with developing the new Miami World Center, a 27-acre, $4 billion project, a worksite employing as many as 15,000 workers.
And it's not just in construction. You're going to see it in all types of service industries. I have a friend that owns a chain of restaurants. He says half of his staff is leaving.
Kotze says new immigration reform is needed to fix the problem.
And at the end of the day, you wouldn't have the illegal immigration problem if you didn't have a lot of people that were facilitating this in our country.
Facts. And we need to cut off the faucet. And you need to stop enabling bad behavior and having illegal activity come on and letting people come in here and you don't know where they paying their taxes. You don't know where their money going. Listen, a lot of these people are actually sending money back home. They take it from the economy. The worst thing that could have ever happened in Detroit was casinos, right? And I know a lot of people will say, well, the casinos floated the economy. Most of the money that goes into the casinos here come from the locals. So the people are the ones that give their money into the casinos, and it's not really a big tourism industry here. And so it's not like Las Vegas where people bring money into the city or bring money into the state. It's people literally that live in a state that then bring money into the casinos, and then the casinos filter that money back out to the organizations out of state. And so what you're starting to find is that it's a lot of people that's benefiting individually, but you don't really know where a lot of that money is going and how it's circulating within the country. And so in order to actually solve for a problem, there's going to have to be some uncomfortability in which, yes, there's going to be some places that don't have workers and all of this other type of stuff. But the reality is that you can't force somebody to solve for a problem if they don't actually have any kind of issues that's facing them. When they start to see it as an issue, then they're going to start addressing it. Is this the solution? Probably not in its entirety. Is it a part of what it is that you need in order to force Kamala Harris over there to start having and addressing these illegal immigration debates? Absolutely. Absolutely.
The governor's office telling NBC News, SB 1718 counteracts the effects of illegal immigration in Florida, adding any business that exploits this crisis by employing illegal aliens instead of Floridians will be held accountable. But advocates looking out for those migrants and Florida's economy say the new law will be a devastating blow to Florida's crucial
Cheryl Riley, I did a whole breakdown on that. Cheryl, of why I do not invest in Florida's real estate economy. Why I will never, ever buy a property in Florida. Investment property, personal property, why I will never, ever buy a property in Florida. You are 100% right. And people was looking at me like, really? Really? And then other people start paying attention. Was like, yeah. Now I start seeing other bigger YouTubers that's saying that, no, I need to get up out of here. I'll live here, but I'm not going to own anything here. Let's continue.
A lot of these businesses in the agriculture industry are going to have to grapple with the idea of closing shop.
Not too many people are in line for those jobs. So there's going to be a big void.
Governor Desantis, who's running for president, sees the immigration law as a blueprint for the entire country.
We've established here in Florida a blueprint for success that other states can follow.
Leaving the path ahead for Jesus and others just like him unclear as they hope to find a new home where they can build a new life.
And I'm always wondering, with these people that's been over here for 2 decades, hey, Intelligent Design, send me that. I'm not familiar with it. When we have these people that's over here for 2 decades, are you telling me that there was no pathway to becoming a legal resident that actually pays taxes with a social security number and all of that? Or are you telling me that these people was just stayed here as long as they possibly could in order to get as much resources and money from it, and then now they feel like they have some entitlement to determine what happens here? I'm always curious, like, what is the immigration process, and how long would it have took for them to actually find a pathway to becoming a legal resident in the United States of America?
And Guad joins me now from Miami. So Guad, what options do these folks have on the table now that this law is going to effect in just a few hours?
Well, Lindsay, some of them can stay in the state of Florida. You know, they have been working in the state of Florida illegally. To be clear, it isn't legal to work anywhere in the U.S. for anyone that is undocumented. And the guys I spoke with, both Jesus and Fidencio, told me, you know, there's ways to find work where maybe they don't ask for documents and we can still stay here. So they can stay and wait and see how this plays out, see if the state will be able to enforce these new laws, or they can move to another state. Again, they would still be working illegally somewhere else. The difference is other states have not chosen to crack down on employers because, let's be clear here, elephant in the room in the U.S., when you look at the workforce, agriculture industry, service industry, and construction industry, they depend on undocumented workers, and it's been like that for many years. So we'll have to wait and see what happens in Florida and what type of enforcement enforcement can be done by the state once this law begins. Lindsay.
All right.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So shout out to Jesus. I'm sure he'll probably just move over into another state. Shout out to the people over there in Florida. Shout out to Desantis that's actually doing things I think that's dope for the state. And they ripping off the Band-Aid in order to address some ugly issues.